Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. D.V. Prasad from Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, Amarkantak. Today, we will discuss about the module Kinship Studies in India from the paper Social Cultural Anthropology. Let us see what we are going to study in this module. To study the concept of kinship, to determine the kinship terms, kin terminologies and kinship system. To study the kinship system and organization in India. Kinship is a cultural universal. It is the fundamental relationship between human beings. Kinship relationships arise out of two different kinds of bonds that cement people together. They are mainly consanguineal kinship. It forms the family of orientation. Affinal kinship, it forms the family of procreation. Relationships based on the consanguineal bond of birth are called descent, and the relationships based on the affinal bond of sex and marriage is called alliance. The mutually conditioned interplay between the two constitute kinship. A kinship system is a structured system of different relationships where individuals are bound together by complex interlocking and ramifying ties. Study of kinship is very useful to understand the elements of social organization. According to Ratley Brown, WHR Rivers, Kroeber, and they mentioned that there is a high correlation between social organization and kinship terminology. Also, according to Remanforth, kinship is the rod on which one learns throughout the life. Significance of kinship in pre-industrial society is more pervasive and systematic than in modern industrial society. Kinsmen play an important role in social, economical, and political spheres. Kinship usage. The study of kinship is not only based on description of relation between kins or on the basis of their classification or general forms of kinship behavior. There is certain special kinship usage which hold special significance in respect to the non-literate societies. They are mainly avunculate, imitate, covert, joking relationship, avoidance. In avunculate kinship usage, it resembles the relation between the mother's brother and his sister's children. In many societies, like in matrilineal society, maternal uncle fulfill the duties of father as a matter of convention. Her children become the property holding members in his uncle's property. For example, Trobriand islanders of Melanesia, African tribes, and Nayars of South India. And comes to next usage, that is amitate. In this type, relation found among patrilineal societies, more or less similar to avunculate. In this case, father sister gets treat importance and respect. She is more than a mother to her nephew and has the authority on him. This is due to the prevention of negligence of father sister in a social mechanism, especially when she is driven off from her in-laws house. For example, Polynesian Tonga Todas of South India. And covered usage, it shows the relationship between the wife and his husband. Whenever his wife gets pregnant, he has to undergo an austere life and also maintaining a proper diet and number of taboos. According to anthropologists, this resembles a symbolic representation of establishing paternity on child. For example, Thoda and Kasi community of India. In avoidance, the usage of avoidance acts as an incest taboo. For instance, relation between mother-in-law and son-in-law, this is actually a protective measure to avoid those relations who remain face to face in everyday life. Then comes to joking relationship. This relationship can be put in contrast to avoidance. This specially privileged relationship indulges in teasing each other by different kinds of jokes, including vulgar sexual jokes. This can be seen between a man and his wife's younger sister, or between a woman and her husband's younger brother. Some communities of Uttar Pradesh are example to this kinship usage. You can see the pictures from where you can find different kinship usage. In the first picture, the Toda couple, they are the examples of Amitite. The Nayars, they are the example of Avunculate. Trobriand Islanders, also an example of Avunculate. And Khasis, an example of Cowherd. Polynesian Tonga, example of Amitite. Definitions by different anthropologists of kinship. First of all, we can see WHR Rivers defines kinship as the social recognition of biological ties. When it comes to Ratley Brown, he defines kinship is a social relationship based on descent. According to Evans Pritchard, Mayer Fortes, Lucy Mayer, and several anthropologists, defines kinship as a relationship based on cultural defined principles of consanguinity. Whereas Claude Levi-Strauss as well as Louis Dumont define kinship as a totality of relationship governed by the rules of consanguinity and affinity. According to Miller, kinship refers solely on the relationships based on descent and marriage. Degree of kinship. Any relationship between two individuals is based on the degree of closeness or distance of that relationship. This can be seen as in the form of degree of kinship, which can be manifested in tabular form. The degree of kinship basically classified into three types, that is primary kinship, secondary kinship, and tertiary kinship. In primary kinship, we can find directly related to each other and primary consanguineal, whereas in secondary kinship, secondary affinals and secondary consanguineal. In tertiary kinship, tertiary affinal and tertiary consanguineal. And primary kinship, those who are directly related to each other are known as primary kin. Secondary kinship, the primary kins of primary kin, in other words, those who are directly related to primary kin becomes one secondary kin. There are 33 secondary kin. Tertiary kin, the primary kin of primary kins, primary kin, or secondary kin of primary kin of secondary kin. Roughly 151 tertiary kins have been found. Kinship organization in India by Irawati Karve. Irawati Karve provides us the comparative analysis of four cultural zones in India. They are mainly Northern Zone, Southern Zone, Eastern Zone, and Central Zone, keeping in view of the linguistic, caste, and family organization. Karve studied the process of acculturation and accommodation in context of kinship. Further, Karve's comparative study takes the following points into consideration, that is, list of kinship terms in Indian language, mainly focused on the differences between Sanskritic North and Dravidian South. In spite of these factors, she also analyzed the caste endogamy and incest taboo. Northern Zone. In this, four basic features of kinship are found. Number one, territoriality. Number two, genealogy. Number three,
incest taboo, and local exogamy. They are the terms for consanguine relations and terms for affinal relations. There are primary terms for 3 generations of immediate relations, and the terms for 1 generation are not exchangeable for those of another generation. All the other terms are derived from the primary terms. Rules of marriage. The rules of son is main feature to all marriage alliance. A person must not marry in his patri family and must avoid marriage with Sapindra kin. 4 Gotra Sasan rule, that is, avoidance of the Gotras of father, mother, grandfather, and maternal grandfather is generally practiced among Brahmins and other upper castes in North India. However, some intermediate and most of the lower castes avoid 2 Gotras, namely that of father and mother. And distribution of northern zone, areas of Sindhi, Punjabi, Hindi, Bihari, Bengali, Assami, and Nepali. Lucy Mayer's Terminologies, 1984. She has devised the following terminologies in India. They are kindred, cognates, affines, corporate group, lineage, lateral, and lineal. In kindred, genealogically linked the ego having common obligations. Cognates are the people related to an individual by birth. Affines are the persons related to an individual through marriage. Corporate group, continuing property holding groups. Lineage, corporate group recruited by descent. Lateral, it shows the side if kinship group belongs to. Lineal, it shows the line of kinship group. Kinship in India follow the clan exogamy and caste endogamy. Clan exogamy, in this, primary relatives, secondary relatives, and tertiary relatives will be there. Family of procreation comes under primary relatives. Relation beyond family are secondary relatives, and tertiary relatives include distant relatives and relations beyond family. Central zone. It comprises the linguistic regions of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Kathiawar, Maharashtra, and Orissa, with their respective languages, namely Rajasthani, Hindi, Gujarati, Kathiawadi, Marathi, and Odia. This zone shows the influence of Northern zone and Eastern zone. The Central zone follows these rules. Number 1, cross cousin marriages are common, which are not witnessed in North zone. Many castes are divided into exogamous clans like North zone. In some castes, exogamous clans are arranged in hypergamous hierarchy, but it is not guaranteed that these features can found in all over the regions. For instance, in Rajasthan, Jats follow 2 Gotra exogamy along with village exogamy. Baniyas practice 4 Gotra rule, and Rajputs have hypergamous clans. And feudal status is an important consideration in marriage. And examples of Rajputs put a lot of emphasis on purity and nobility of descent. Status of mother on either side is also a factor in marriage alliance. And example of Gujarat and Kathiawar, some castes allow cross cousin marriages, others allowed marriage once a year, some others permitted once every 4 or 5, 9 or 12 years. The marriage year arrives, it announced from village to village, and there is a rush to perform marriage. The practice of Nantra, Lavarite exists even today. Examples of tribes, cross cousin marriages among Khati, Ahir, Ghadwa, Charan, Gharasiya, Kolis, Bhils allow both types of cross cousin marriages. The Marathas, no parallel cousin marriages are allowed. There is also taboo on paternal cousin marriages. Generally, preference for a man's marriage is with his maternal cross cousin. Sisters can and do marry the same man. Brothers generally avoid marrying 2 sisters. And Brahmins in Odisha, Aranyaka Brahmanas and Karns Kayastas do not allow cross cousin marriages. Some agricultural castes allow cross cousin marriages, but others prohibit. Junior levirate is found among the poor classes. Rajputs, the rule of exogamy not dependent on the clan name but on the symbol connected with the clan. The symbol is called Devaka. No two people having the same Devaka can marry. The clans and the Devaka both play a significant role in marriage.
In the southern zone, caste endogamy and clan exogamy is followed similar to the northern system. It is called as Bedagu or Bedaga or Bali in Karnataka. The Kotas of Nilagiris call it Keri. The Kottai Vellals call it Kilai. The Koyas name it Gattu and the Kurumbas call it Gumpu. Some Telugu people call it Inti Peru and the Malayalis mention it Illom. In Travancore, it is referred to as Veli. The word Gotra is also widely used. The main symbols used for clans are silver, gold, axe, elephant, snake, jasmine, stone, etc. The southern zone possesses both types of features, that is, patrilocal and patrilineal systems. These are mainly found in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh. Also, matrilineal and matrilocal systems. Then comes to rules of marriage. Age and not generation is the main consideration in the southern kinship system. Marriage is outside the exogamous kin group called Balli or Begadu or Kilai. The rules of marriage are: one must marry a member of one's own clan, and a girl must marry a person who belongs to this group, older than the self, and also to the younger than the parents. Then comes to distribution. The Nayars, the Tians, some Moplas in Malabar region, and the Bants in Kanara district have matrilineal and matrilocal family, and it is called Tharwad. It consists of a woman, her brothers and sisters, her own and her sister's son and daughters. No affinal relation lives in Tharwad. Some consanguines are excluded. They are children of the males. There is no husband wife, father's children relationship in a Tharwad. Taboos. However, there are taboos on marrying younger sister's daughter, levirate, and mother's sister's daughter. Maternal uncle and niece marriages and cross cousin marriages result in double relationships. A cousin is also a wife, and after marriage, a cousin is more of a wife than a cousin.
Khasis in Meghalaya, Assam. They belongs to matrilineal society, speaks one Khmer language. The Khasis have giant family with common worship and common graveyard, but the husband and wife live together in a small house of their own. After death, the property goes to mother or younger daughter. A woman enjoy a great amount of freedom. If there are no female relatives, widow gets half of the property if she opts not to marry. A Kasi husband is incorporated into his bride's home as a stranger. Kasis have clan exogamy. Marriages of parallel cousins are not allowed. Cross cousin marriage is also quite rare. And the second picture shows Simang group. Simang group are speaking Mundari languages and they are patrilineal and patrilocal. Importance of kinship in rural societies. The importance of kinship in tribal and rural societies can be understood from the following. Number 1. Kinship and its relation to rural family, property, and land. The prime property of any rural family is land. So, land is related to all the kin members of the family, the sons, grandsons, and other kins which are related by blood and marriage have their economic interest in land. Nowadays, women are becoming aware that they are also entitled to get an equal share from the ancestral property. The family members also gain status, even political status, by ownership of land. When it comes to kinship and marriage, exogamy is commonly followed in most of the villages of India. The members of the village do not prefer to marry within their own village. This rule varies on the basis of severity of rules of marriage. When it comes to third, kinship and rituals, the role and importance of kin members lies in the degree of close relationship among them. Their importance can be observed during occasions such as cradle ceremony, marriage, and death. During a naming ceremony, it is father's sister who has to give a name to the newborn. There are certain rituals which have to be performed by mother's brother during the marriages of daughters. Bride price, the daughter's parent make the payment in case in cash or kind to the son-in-law's sister, who occupies an important place in Hindu wedding. Exchange of gifts. It is obligatory on the part of the close kin relatives to offer gifts to the newly wed couple. And in the same manner, these close relatives are equally rewarded from both sides. On the occasion of death, during the occasion of death also, it is obligatory for kinsmen to observe mourning for about 11 to 14 days. Eastern Zone. Features of kinship in Eastern Zone basically patrilineal and patrilocal families, joint family, bride price, and exogamous totemistic clans. In Eastern Zone, Mundari and Mankhamar languages are spoken, and also Nathran languages can also exist. The main communities are Korku, Annamis, Saka, Simang, and Kasi. Bride price. Bride price is prevalent among matrilineal communities, that is Kasi and Simang. Money is given for procuring a bride. Service by the would-be husband in girl's father house is also considered as bride price. After marriage, one establishes his separate household but may keep his younger brother and widowed mother along with him in his newly established house. Changes in kinship in rural societies. Many changes are taking place in all the institutions of the rural society, including kinship relations. Changes can be seen as demand for ownership titles by women, rules of marriage are being challenged, and the traditional rules regarding divorce are also getting weakened. Though some of the aspects of kinship are losing their importance, few others are gaining prominence. Kinship is playing an important role in the field of politics, especially in rural elections to Panchayat Raj institutions. Favoritism, while distributing jobs, is being observed among the kinsmen. Due to the emergence of such new forces, kinship may acquire new structure and form. So, students, let us summarize this module. Morgan and other early anthropologists try to explain the distribution of kinship types, correlating with the economic, political, and cultural stages in a progressive series. But a wide variety, a wide range of differences between the Sanskritic North and the Dravidian South make it possible to understand the kinship system and organization in India in a greater extent by Indian anthropologists. This provides us the knowledge of heterogeneity of language families,
making up a unitary civilization of India. Kinship systems are rather like natural languages in that there are platforms on which many and perhaps all different kinds of economic, political, and cultural organization may be built. Thank you.